So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
All right. Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit and I'm the tiny one.
Yep.
I've been to a rave party.
Yeah, you have.
Hear that. So I do apologize. My voice is not excellent for podcasting.
Yeah, rave party, aka basically being a life coach for life coaches. Just saying.
Yeah, no, I did. I was invited to assist on a course this weekend.
Yep. Without me, I'm like, what?
Yeah, for once, me and Jason were not in the same location, so therefore this podcast was a bit delayed. Yeah. It was a really good weekend. It was nice to be able to share some of the things that we work with, and it was a good weekend.
Yeah, and show quality in general.
Yeah, it's always good to just show that you get at what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's always fun. Before that, and I'm going to take off my sweater because I'm warm. So I do apologize.
That's also very strange.
Yes.
You're warm? Come on.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's called spring, I think.
Yeah.
So they're better not getting suffocated here. So, sorry. Before that, we had our... let's say the last meditation weekend.
Yeah.
Because it has now changed its name.
Yep.
We are no longer doing meditation weekends. We do flow state continuum weekends.
That's it.
We talked about it slightly some podcasts ago. Why? Basically, we just don't want to make it a mindfulness thing. We are slightly different. We use meditation. Mm-hmm. A lot of meditation and different techniques, but we changed the name to Flow State Continuum Weekend. The next event is now live.
That's correct.
It's going to be 7th. Yeah, 8th.
To 10th.
Yes, 8th to 10th of September.
Well, 8th, it's 8th, then it's 8th to 11th. 3 days?
Yeah, sorry, 7th.
Yeah, it's 7th to 10th.
Yes, yeah. Sorry. Yes, 7th to 10th of September.
Yes.
So in half a year. I do recommend that people sign up early. We are half sold out. We went live
every single event, and it's bigger every time.
Yeah, but now also the people that have been to events the ones that were now got a tiny sneak peek, and we are half sold out of tickets. So I do recommend that people sign up, and I will for this one also fix something like a waiting list or something. But I do recommend that you check that out. I'm going to put the link in the description of this podcast. Mm-hmm. It was a really good weekend we had last time.
It was.
We had a lot of new people to the Integrated Human. It was very nice to meet and see new faces. Mm-hmm. It was very nice to see people that's been with us from the beginning.
Yep.
And I always get amazed of people because everyone owns their own process.
Yep.
That's one of the things we are we put very straight is that we are not any guru or trying to be God or be the right thing. What we want to create is that we want to create a space, a safe space, where we come with a bunch of suggestions that you can evaluate within yourself if it's right for you now or not, or later. Mm-hmm. So you pick and mix your own thing. And we have deep dive research sessions, mm-hmm. aka a lot of different meditations.
Yep, you basically get a whole bunch of tools to put in your toolbox so you can figure out what works for you.
Yeah, so
Bam.
I do recommend amend them and it's so beautiful because you have men, women, older, younger, and big, big emotional trauma people are walking through right now, people that have gone through trauma, people that are just new to their self and finding themselves.
Performers, high performers.
Yeah, the aspects is very big, and to look how each one of them attacks their process and starts working with themselves is a very humbling experience to be able to watch, and I'm very grateful to be able to, with you and Steve, create that space for people. So we have gotten a lot of feedback, and I would hope people take the opportunity to continue with us because they are. It's so beautiful to watch people.
Yeah, we've almost sold out half the room already.
Yeah.
So that the thing is that, you Marit, create the logistics around the event in such a way that people can walk in being comfortable and everybody's seen. The information, knowledge, and the experiences we've gotten super good feedback on. And I just want to say, you guys show up and join us because it's powerful stuff. People are getting
it's so
big
and it's
changes.
very difficult to explain because one of them went out and said, "How do you explain this?" I just said, "It's an experience, and people know when they want to come, and then they're ready." So it's an opportunity. I hope you will take it. But I don't think that's what we're going to talk about more today.
No. Well, I can give a couple things from the seminar that maybe people would be interested in.
Sure, do that.
I don't know. I mean, you tell me, you can shut me down if you
Do
like.
that.
But yeah, all right. Because first of all, people don't always think about this, but we've mentioned shamanism a few times, right? But shamanism is the primal relationship that humans have with nature. Okay? And in shamanism, there's something called animism, meaning that everything's alive. Shamanic cultures don't see the human separate from nature. They see humans as a part of nature, and that everything in nature is alive, just like humans are. They're not the same as humans, but there is like an aliveness and an awareness everywhere, right? It's only when we then start getting organized religions do we start separating man from nature and separating actually man from God in that way. Which is quite interesting, I think. So there's kind of like a change in relationship and attitude that, like for example, Jesus is the Son of God, but nobody else can say that they're the son or daughter of God. Just Jesus, and then God is somewhere else. God's in the sky with a big beard or whatever, but God's not here. Whereas in animism or shamanism, then God's everywhere. Everything's the soul. Everything has a soul, and everything looks at you and sees you, and you see everything. So, if you imagine, just like in religion, God sees you no matter where you are, you behave in a way better when everything sees you and everything you can see sees you. And after that, you get kind of the development of philosophy. Philosophy is kind of like, okay, there's a God, whatever your religious background is, but there's a way of working in the world.
And that's when you get to Platon and Socrates and who's the third one?
Socrates and
who's the third one? There's three of them.
And Plato. Well, there are a lot of them.
Yeah,
Aristotle.
of course.
Aristotle.
Yeah, but
and Aristotle. A lot of people love them some Aristotle.
3 pillars.
Yeah, and the difference between those guys is like Socrates and Plato. They basically thought about the world as having inherent virtue, whereas you were either good or bad or whatever. But Aristotle was talking about all the time the meaning of life is progress, that you can work yourself to becoming virtuous and connected. And interestingly enough, his highest level of happiness is called the supreme beatitude, which is the supreme happiness, supreme beauty. Beauty and happiness were kind of a little bit similar in that way. And that was quite like animism, because it's not just fulfilling yourself as a human being, but it's also fulfilling your role in society. So society is fulfilled from you, and you are fulfilled from your role in society. So it's not, you're not just getting what you want and taking what you want and achieving what you want. It's about integrating yourself with your environment and being supremely happy with the fact that you're integrated, that you're connected. So that connection from, in a way, shamanism is there. And then from that, Aristotle inspired so many modern philosophers. But there was like a shift. Aristotle helped people become more aware of themselves, but in order to become integrated with society, you have to kind of fulfill yourself. And that leads to psychology, right?
Da, da, da.
Da-da-da-da-da. And then you have Freud and Adler, and you have Jung, Carl Jung. So you have these three guys. So like you kind of go from Plato and Socrates and Aristotle down to Freud and Adler, and then our wonderful Carl Gustav Jung. And Jung talked so much about being who you are, yes, but becoming what you want to be in the future. He wasn't so much interested in the past. He was very much interested, of course, in mythology and spiritualism and shamanism and religion and all this and how it created human beings.
Jung was the guy with the different towers for different
Yes,
meditations or different worlds or what you want to call them.
that's correct.
I want to be an intellect, I walk here, and if I want to be, I don't know, a shaman, I go here. And
Yeah, in his house, he had like these different towers. Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
How do you
guy.
change personalities?
Yeah, right. Today I'm going to be this, and you go to a different tower in your house. Well, but psychoanalysis was created by these three guys, but mostly by Freud. And he was more interested in why you are who you are today. He wasn't so much interested in who you're going to become in the future. So people who basically have
He's the guy that, sorry, because this is the thing, Jason reads, and I absorb from Jason and other people talking. But he's the guy that blames everything on your mom, right?
Well, yeah, sex and moms and dads and yeah, and all kinds of.
I'm putting it very simple.
Yeah, because he identified that, if you think about biology, one of the major forces in biology is sex and procreation. So almost 60% of all the stuff he created was about sex. And then, of course, it was about your relationship to your mom and dad, and usually your mom, and Oedipal complexes and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
so, correct.
Yeah, thank you.
So Jung got a little more esoteric than these two other gentlemen and kind of separated ways. And again, Jung was looking at today and what you can become. Freud and Adler were more focused on why you are who you are today. So they were really kind of pulling your past apart to see, what
the fuck happened to you.
Yeah, exactly. And Jung was like, listen,
Sorry,
whatever happened to you in your past, congratulations. But guess what? That past is not here anymore. What's here is what you're going to be in the future. And do you have the resources inside you, in your conscious mind, your unconscious or your collective unconscious, in order to move forward? And that's something that Jung brought out a lot. And that was the fact that you have an unconscious mind. But not only do you have an unconscious mind, but there is an unconscious piece of you that is part of your personality that has to do with society. Society has an unconscious. And you're like, what you talking about, Jason? Well, people know about memes, right?
Yeah, we talked about them some before, yeah.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people think memes are only the things that you pass around on your mobile phones, that make you laugh.
No, it's the saying in the society.
Exactly.
Good thing happens to good people.
And therefore, if something bad happens to you,
you're a bad person.
You're a bad person, which means there's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of unconscious, weird, hypnotic stuff.
I think that's the thing when we have to remember is that a meme is not conscious.
No.
Often it's something that society in Norway, we have janteloven.
Yeah, exactly.
It's rules and stuff we say that it's imprinted in us.
Yeah, and janteloven, for the English speakers, if you look up tall poppy syndrome, that you have that, I think, in Australia and in Scotland.
And you had, in New Zealand.
And New Zealand
and you
as
also
well.
have something similar in Japan?
Yeah, something like
Something like
that. But
that.
basically, don't think that you're anything and keep yourself down. And it's a lot of weird stuff. But of course, it has its value on some
Yeah.
ways, but it's very unconscious in other ways.
Yeah.
So people who don't identify with it still act after it because it's a meme. So Jung was the first person to actually put his finger on that stuff in a real way. So if you're going to be able to realize yourself as a person and realize your spot in society, you need to understand how society works on you, what role you've chosen, and how to fulfill those things, right? So it's very interesting. So we walked through a lot of these things during the seminar, which I thought was extremely fun, and people were lit up. I mean, it was
It was so much fun, and it's always and we talked about a lot of. We didn't get into. You can't explain what our plan is if we can do that, and that's that when we are plain simply when we are larger
yeah,
and we have enough people that want to invest in their process because we have so much to give, but like we know, it's not about what you can give; it's what people want and can take.
yeah,
So when we have enough people, so what we do now is we have the flow state continuum weekends where people can start the process, and we make sure that we also have the mastermind group now every Tuesday, which will be online if people want that, but also physical for the people here in Voss, Norway, to continue the process. To join the mastermind, you have to have been to a flow state continuum weekend or integrated human event.
yeah. That's
You
right.
have to.
Yeah,
That's the
because
prerequisite
otherwise,
for
it's
that.
gonna blow your head off.
Yes, so you have to do
Yeah.
that, and we do flow state continuum weekends. So I find that in my experience, in my process, that it's always good to know when you're gonna do your next deep dive, a longer deep dive, because you kind of go home and think, I'm going to start practicing it every day and I'm going to meditate 4 hours a day, and you're going to go back to some podcasts that go half a year. I try that. I haven't worked for me yet and do trying the best that I can, but life happens.
Yep.
A meeting happens, a kid has a birthday.
You get headhunted to help a whole weekend
Yeah,
at somewhere else's
you
court.
get
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
beautiful opportunities like I had this weekend, but it takes me away from what I normally do and my patterns and
Yeah.
what necessarily I want
Yes.
for
Yeah.
my process
Yeah, for your personal process.
and my development process.
Yeah.
To have the option to put off a weekend, a longer weekend, and you already know when that's going to happen. Once keep you going in your process.
Yep.
And you kind of have this thing that you're looking forward to. Then I'm going to do deep dive again. So I'm looking forward to that. So we have these flow states continuum events, and when where we go through something that we called I would call your personal philosophy and how you
get your worldview and your personal philosophy in order, because not everybody understands that they actually have a personal philosophy.
Oh, so that's for once, and that's the thing that many started thinking about. For instance, this weekend, we work with the mind. We introduce the mind, we introduce the heart, and we introduce that you actually have a body. And we do use, for instance, soma breath.
Yeah.
To activate the body, to help you, one, work through your the tensions in the body, but also it's a type of meditation.
Yeah, it recalibrates your nervous system, because there are two parts of the nervous system. You have the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight and flight survival. And then you have your resting and digesting and your basically maintenance kind of nervous system, which is called the parasympathetic. And we run around in this society almost 89% in our sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah,
People
we're
are,
going
stressed out.
like
And people wondering why they're having intestinal issues, why they have sleep issues, why they're having a hard time healing from injuries and all kinds of stuff. It's because their sympathetic nervous system is firing off like 4th of July firecrackers. Yeah. Yeah. And then the soma breath helps you actually use time and your breath to recalibrate your nervous system. And people were having some really amazing experiences.
Oh, I had that too when we did it. It was because we joined in on that, and it's amazing. So what our goal is that when we have enough people that want it, and are willing, because this is also the thing, you have a process takes time, and you have to be willing to have one. And
Yeah.
you, like we say, we're not putting up a cult here. It's your process, and own it. But we want to create space for that. So when we get enough people that want to have a process and join our space, we are looking for different longer periods where we work on each separate thing.
And this is the thing, guys. The better you get at serving people, the more you will have opportunities to serve, and then suddenly you're serving all the time, like Marit was doing, and you just have to basically book time for yourself. Because if you don't book time for yourself, what happens?
It gets taken.
It gets taken by people wanting
once,
you to serve.
When say you train, or say you do something you love. If it's say training, I love training, and you get injured, and then you stop. So say you train Tuesday and Thursday at 10, and then you get injured, so you don't train. You can't train, but then you stop going to training in that period to find that time again when you're healthy. It's very difficult because something else has taken that time. You see that often in Norway, especially because Norwegians, we don't have a lot of good weather. So when we have summer vacation, this country just flattens out.
Yeah,
you can't get
happens.
anything done from mid-June to mid-August.
Yeah.
It's very funny to watch because everything is just and many drops out of training. People drop everything in that period, and then it's very difficult for them to get back to it after vacation. And especially because your personal process is your personal process, and it never stops. One of the oldest guys in our event is 85. And he still remembers things that he learned when he was 20.
Yeah.
Because you do forget.
Yeah, that's it. Life hits you, and there's so many things to deal with that a lot of times you forget what you were good at even. Maybe you were super good at something for a while, and then you just forgot it. Drawing, like myself, right?
And then you start doing something else because that took your attention for a while, and then you just forget that you have drawing supplies and that you actually like it and that you're quite good.
Yeah, that's it. And then
and that especially with your personal process, because the sorry language, but the fucked up thing with your personal process is that everywhere you are,
there you are.
So if you stop it, you still carry it around.
Yeah, that's true.
If you stop drawing, that's a shame maybe for your soul or your artistic expression, but it is kind of okay. Training you should do because it's good for your health, and health you can't kind of change. But your personal process is everywhere.
That's it. It's your relationship with the world.
And yourself.
And the world. Yeah, and yourself. Yeah, that's it. And that's one of those
things. Which is the same, actually.
Yeah, it's actually the same. Because remember, Aristotle said the supreme beatitude, right? That's like that integration in society, fulfilling yourself, fulfilling society. Both of those things, that's the supreme happiness, right? Yes. So this is what we're working with and for, and people are getting that experience. People are, but I like doing yoga because then I get to have like Kundalini experiences. Did people have Kundalini experiences?
Yes.
Yes, they did. Now, did people...
I was not laughing about Kundalini experiences, by the way.
No.
I was just laughing because I have been studying Kundalini, if you can say that, for a while now.
Yeah.
And I just had some wicked experiences. So it was not to laugh at Kundalini, the opposite. So no offense.
Yeah.
But yes, people experience Kundalini.
Yeah, and people started realizing also about their worldview. Like the point is that, when you look for example, people are like, well, what's worldview? Well, how do you look at things? Would we say that if you change your body 1%, nothing changes, but if you change your perception 1%, everything changes. Well, the way you look at the world is your worldview, right? So, are you an optimist? Are you a pessimist? That's like the easiest, like the simplest.
And then people go, I'm a realist.
I'm a realist, right? And then then
It
you
actually
always,
means that they're pessimistic.
they're usually pessimistic.
They're usually
Exactly. Because
pessimistic.
things are going to go shit sideways at some point. That's that. I'm a realist, right?
Yeah, usually that.
You know, so just an easy thing. Viktor Frankl, like who's a psychiatrist and a medical doctor, and he was a neurologist that survived the Nazi camps. He brought up this whole thing, which I thought was really beautiful. And he said, if you give a person that's not expecting it a glass of water, but it's only a half a glass of water, they're like, and you ask them, is it half empty or half full? What will they say?
Half full.
They'll say half full because they didn't really want water. They didn't expect the water. And it's like,
And they
what am
got
I going to
something.
They got something. And they're like, oh, okay, I got more than I expected because I didn't expect anything. I wasn't thinking about water, but okay, I'll drink it. But if that same person orders a glass of water and is going to pay for it, and you give them half a glass of water, is it half empty or half full?
It's half empty.
It's
and I
half
think
empty.
it's so funny because one of the things that really bugs me
Yeah.
is that if I go out on a cafe and I order a cup of tea,
Oh, yeah. That happens a
you've
lot.
seen that a lot, that I go back and I ask for more water
Could you fill it up?
because I buy for €3 in Norway or €4 in Norway a cup of tea.
Yeah.
What you're actually paying for is hot water and a tea bag.
Yeah.
And I get a half full
Cup of hot water.
cup of hot water.
And then you put the bag in, what happens? It goes even lower.
It gets even lower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not using 2 tea bags. I'm using 1 tea bag. So Jason, I've seen me do that multiple times. Can I get a full cup,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah. And they're like, oh.
Because you kind of
course.
understand.
Yeah.
You can kind of understand if it's coffee,
Yeah.
because then usually, first of all, when you order coffee, you usually get a full cup.
Yeah.
And second, because you need your caffeine, And second, that kind of, you will, the store or the cafe or the restaurant will kind of save money, I don't know, or resources by giving less coffee.
Yeah.
But it's hot water.
Yeah.
Fill it up.
Fill it up.
Please.
Come on. Because,
Sorry.
I mean, yeah.
I think about that every time because I often are the one that, can you fill it up
Yeah.
all the way, please?
But everybody thinks, and now this is a meme. You see how we're working here? Everybody thinks that this whole half empty, half full thing is about being an optimist or a pessimist. But what it really is, and research shows, it's about your expectations in life. So when guys, girls, you need to listen to me right now. Your satisfaction with your life begins with your expectations. If you decide how things are going to look in 3 days and how things are going to work for you, not that they're going to happen, you want to become head boss at work, whatever. But the way that's going to happen, focusing on that, my friends, if you have a very concrete way and just a straight line, you will absolutely, positively be disappointed and feel like your life is half
Empty.
empty. That's it. Now, you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense because I heard it's about being an optimist and a pessimist, and you should be an optimist. That's a meme. Because if you walk out on the edge of a cliff on skis on rotten snow, should you be an optimist about the fact that the snow is going to hold you and not create an avalanche and kill you? Or should you be a pessimist? Or should you...
And stay at home and never go out and be physical active.
Exactly.
It's dangerous.
Because you could get in an avalanche.
You
Or
can
should
die.
you just be a situationist? What's the situation? What are we dealing with here? Right? Be a situationist, not a realist. Situationist. What is it? Why is it like that? Those two things. You just what and why. That's it. Easy.
Don't forget the what.
Ask what.
Ask what.
Yes, and then you can ask why. Right? So orientate yourself in the situation. So pessimists and optimists, God bless you, love you both. But there's a time and place for everything. So you shouldn't just be optimistic. I'm sure it's going to go well. I'm sure it's going to go super well. Really?
But then they also think, no, it's not going to go shitty.
Exactly. They're reminding themselves. That
Or the one that always, I'm just going to be angry anyways because it's going to go, it always ends bad.
Yeah, right? Where in nature can you find straight lines? Everything's squiggly. Nature is squiggly. There's so many factors happening in your life at once. The thing's going to be squiggly. So your expectations are not going to be met. So if you're going to have lots of expectations on the future, you're going to have lots of expectations on the past. My friends, sorry, you're going to have a life is half empty situation going on.
And it's always, if you're talking about expectations, it's kind of your idea about something.
That's it.
So it's very unfair to put that on someone else.
Exactly.
Or something else, because that put a lot of, we thought, well, women, I think, have a talk, I don't know if they talk about it, but it's a lot of expectations on women. Mm-hmm. But we also put a lot of expectations on other stuff.
Yeah, totally.
You know, there's expectations everywhere about how things should be and how things must be and should work.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't live up to expectations, and people they like to have low expectations because then I always get surprised.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and being present here and now, living in the moment, doesn't mean about not having ideas about what you want in the future. You should have concrete goals about that. But how that looks, how the path is through the forest to get you there may look different than you think, and most likely will.
And you always are different from person to person.
Yeah, absolutely. So Viktor Frankl gave that wonderful gem to us, and where he got that was watching people in the concentration camps, because the guys are like, oh, we're going to be out of here by Christmas. I'm an optimist. I'm going to be out of here by Christmas. Who do you think were the first people to die in the concentration camps? The people who had expectations of when they were going to get out quick and soon, and by Christmas and by Easter. And then after the fourth camp that he was in, he realized that I have no expectation of leaving. I have to make the best of what my situation is here now, and I have to try to function in the group as well as I can. And of course, everybody was starving. Did you see the people? Of course. And weirdly enough, the people who were focused on the food and getting enough food were the ones that starved the quickest. The ones that served the group and were valuable to the group were the ones that lived the longest, because if anybody got any food, you share it with the other people who are valuable. Aristotle's supreme beatitude in a concentration camp? What? You mean this whole thing is cyclical, right?
Yes.
So just saying, guys, get yourself to the events. Let us share a lot of this good stuff. And this is just
Please join us. It's so much fun.
It's amazing.
It's so much fun. I love doing them.
It's amazing.
They give me, not that it's outside in, but I'm so grateful when I'm there to get the opportunity to see all of these lovely people expand themselves. It makes me also, it's a little bit selfish, because when they expand, I want to do more inner research myself, because my approach with how I work and what we do, well, at least this is yours and Steve's approach also, is that we don't teach and we don't do stuff we haven't tried ourselves.
That's it.
So when people meet, because that has to be said, just so that's said, it's not all because we say, oh, it's so fun, it's so nice. Sometimes you hit shit and it's your real fucked up things, and that's not always pleasant.
No.
But all of us has done that. So you are always then in a safe environment, and you can always be with us that has gone through it.
Yeah.
So you don't fall between a chair, and you are held, and it's safe and protected, if you want to call it. We have gone through it, so we know also what we're taking people through.
Yeah.
And what can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is
what
extremely
can happen,
important.
that sounds very ominous, by the
Yeah,
way.
that's all right. Maybe.
It sounds very scary.
I'm very scary.
Yarr.
Someone may jump on you. No, but you know,
but real stuff happens.
Yeah,
it's real.
Yeah, and you can find experiences from your childhood where co-students, not another child is what they call them when they're that young, said something that's been holding you back for 30 years, and 40 years.
Freud would fucking love that stuff.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
And just to find that moment again can be you didn't expect it maybe, and it can be painful, and you can be taken by surprise.
Yeah.
And that's not that always pleasant.
No,
But the beautiful thing is then you can work through it and you can reattach from it.
Yeah.
So that thing doesn't hold energy for you anymore.
That's it. The whole point is that the more you can collect your soul, your energy, free yourself from the crap in the past, the more energy and consciousness and awareness you'll have in the moment. The more energy and momentum and awareness you have in the moment, the greater the momentum and energy you will have taking yourself into the future. And then we basically get to transcend Freud and Adler. And Viktor Frankl, the gentleman that was in the concentration camp, said that his logotherapy, his version of psychoanalysis, was based on two things: our ability to self-transcend and self-disassociate, meaning you can release shit in the past to gather your energy in the moment and then boomerang yourself into Jung's future and kick some ass and make Aristotle, our homeboy, proud. Yo. So remember, you matter unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared. Then you're energy. But if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.